Everyone, and welcome to the Unfiltered Historians Unfiltered Conversations, episode one of I, it's just a new episode. We're really excited to be back, and we have an awesome list today for you. And we're really kind of just gonna circle back to what Unfiltered Conversations started as, and we're gonna bring it back to that ground roots conversation level. We are on a 162nd anniversary of which that would be the Battle of Fredericksburg, and we figured that it would be cool to get us together today and kind of talk a little bit about all of our experiences with Fredericksburg, maybe a favorite story from there, or just anything really about Fredericksburg. So this is no agenda going into it. It's just topic of the day, Fredericksburg, its battle, its aftermath, and things that we all find poignant and important from that. Do a quick introduction. Me, Tyler, you guys have met before, running the Unfiltered Historian with my co-hosts here, Josh and Anthony. We are joined today by guests Dan Casala and Evan Portman. So, gentlemen, thank you guys for joining and welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Of course, of course. So getting started, Dan, you've come in ready and have some of the amazing stuff. So I want to start with you, if that's okay, and
Sure.
really go down there. So I'm working on getting your pictures up here, and while I'm doing that, I'll give you the thumbs up, and we can start showing those. If you'd like to go into a little bit about your experiences with Fredericksburg and maybe your interest in that, because you have an awesome podcast too. I want to plug that while we have a
Oh,
moment.
thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No pollution of cowardice. South Jersey in the Civil War, if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully, I got that right.
Yep.
You've got a lot of cool stuff there, man. And New Jersey is synonymous with this area. Everywhere you go in the Fredericksburg area, it seems that you come across a New Jersey monument. There's two flanking you on Route 3, Spotsy. But in
Mhm.
Fredericksburg, they have some experiences, and you don't necessarily see that kind of memorial in the area of the first battle. So I'm excited to kind of learn and dive with you as we go into some New Jersey stuff. But we'll
Yeah.
go ahead and
Yeah. Yeah.
start.
So the two New Jersey regiments that are going to see action at Fredericksburg are 9-month guys.
Okay.
They're sort of going to get they think they're going to be in and out, but they go to Fredericksburg, and that's not a good experience for anybody. Um, I've been able to, through what I do and how I do my research, um, come across stories of the soldiers, the guys who were there, not so much, the generals and the big retelling of everything. I like to get, in the ranks, and that's where these stories come from. And yeah, Fredericksburg, December 13th was a really bad day for New Jersey, as it was for all the states, Union states that participated. But there are 3 days, 3 dates that are the darkest in South Jersey. That's May 5th, 1862, the Battle of Williamsburg. December 13th, the Battle of Fredericksburg, which is probably the worst. And then Spotsylvania, May 12th, right? Um, and then yeah, those three are yeah, the like I said, the worst days of the war for South Jersey specifically, and everything I come across through newspapers and historical societies, you find something about Fredericksburg, and it's never good. The one book that I found a lot of these pictures in highlights guys who made it, but it really highlights the guys that didn't. And those stories, the tragic ones are always a little bit more juicy. But I've got guys who made it through. One guy's an artist who drew one of the most famous images of the Battle of Fredericksburg, one that's used over and over, the Charge of Kimball's Brigade. His name is John Kaiser. He moves from Germany, or what would become Germany, moves to Bridgeton, New Jersey. He's an artist. One of his sketches, one of his first sketches, is an early war unit leaving Bridgeton, and then when he joins the 24th, he puts in a lot of work and a lot of details into his sketches of like the everyday life of the soldiers and the experiences. And when he gets to Fredericksburg, I don't have anything of his on the battle. I have other soldiers that were in the 24th, their experiences, but yeah, not a great day, but one that lived with them forever, one way or another.
And so you also sent me some pictures here. I sadly was not able to get all of them up here, but I did
That's fine.
get. Let me see how many I have. I think one, two, three, four, five. I have six photos. So the first six that you sent me is what I've got here.
Sure.
And is it okay if I go ahead and start with the first one and you
Yeah,
tell
yeah,
me a
yeah.
little
I'll
bit
just
about it?
scroll right through them.
Fantastic, man. All right, we'll start with here.
So this is Corporal William B. Elmer. He will enlist in, I think it's Company F of the 24th. They muster on September 2nd, 1862, the day after the Battle of Chantilly, when my hero, Philip Kearny, is killed, um, whose t-shirt I'm wearing. You can pick one up at Civil War Tees. Uh, sorry.
Don't be
So
sorry.
Elmer enlists as a corporal in the churchyard of the Presbyterian, the old what's now known as the Old Stone Presbyterian Church in Fairton. Him and the company will muster in. They'll serve in the 24th. He's wounded in the leg on December 13th. He dies. He has his leg amputated, and he dies and is brought back and is buried in the same churchyard that he enlisted in. His headstone still sits today. You can go check it out. But the church itself is really interesting. I won't get into it. But yeah, William Elmer will be one of the casualties of the Battle of Fredericksburg.
No kidding.
This is a bunch of officers from the 24th. Dead center is a guy by the name of Alexander Robeson. He was a pharmacist in Bridgeton. He was a big to-do guy. And then when his actions at Fredericksburg will sort of cut deep into Bridgeton. He's noted that when the regiment goes in, that he's with the regiment the whole time. He's out in front. And when the regiment falls back and they're trying to recollect and recount for everybody, he volunteers to go back and try to find wounded and missing men. And that's when he's never heard of again. The book that this photo is taken from, you can find on the Library of Congress,
Mm-hmm.
and you can read all about him. They have a nice little blurb about him, which is kind of cool. But the other two officers that are in this wounded in the action, the guy to his top left and top right are both, or no, I'm sorry, up and down directly to him. He is. They're both wounded. Their names escape me at the moment. No, the guy up top with the beard, that's Jesse Reeves, Reeves,
Mm-hmm.
and he's wounded at Fredericksburg. And the two graves, Robeson and Reeves, are right next to each other, buried in Bridgeton. Although, because Robeson's body is never recovered, his monument is a centilith, which means again that no one's buried at the monument. And Reeves is buried in a family plot 15 yards away from where Robeson is buried.
No kidding.
This is that's Robeson's monument.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the word centilith right there on the bottom, and engraved is the missing at the Battle of Fredericksburg, December 13th, 1862. And this is Reeves, Lieutenant Reeves. You can see his service inscription right on the stone. And then I think I sent you another one where you could see them like right next to each other. But yeah, I was looking at Robeson and I was trying to get a better shot because the sun was in my face, and I tripped over one of the footstones of the Reeves plot, and I looked up and there it was. It was like a little history, a little moment for me. So it was cool to see them right next to each other.
And then we have this one.
So I added this one because the 24th is going to carry a really interesting Belgian rifle with them throughout their service. It's called the Belgian Vincenzi rifle,
Mm-hmm.
and then their long saber bayonet. They'll carry again with them the entire time. There's a couple of photographs that I've found of federal soldiers having these. One is the artist John Kaiser. He's holding one standing up, but across his lap is the bayonet scabbard or the saber scabbard. Now, most of the times during the Civil War, scabbards were leather. These were metallic, so they were metal, but they were painted black. So it would have been, it would have been kind of cool to see or even hear the added, clank of a soldier's march. So I just added that because, it's just a cool picture. Guns are cool. Old timey
Yeah,
guns are cool.
absolutely
So,
they are. No, that's dope.
And that's John Kaiser. You can see right across his lap is the scabbard. But he's going to draw what. If you read any book about Fredericksburg or any big maps, I'm sure it's at the Park Service. But the charge of Kimball's brigade drawing, where you can see all the houses and stuff, the whole layout of the town.
See if I can't pull that up too.
Yeah, that's the guy right there. After the war, he will return to Germany, I think, to visit family, and he's going to die there, and that's where he's buried. So, of all the stones that or all the graves that I get to visit through my travels, I don't think I'll ever get to see John Kaiser
Where is he buried again? I'm sorry.
in Germany.
Germany's, yeah. That's a distance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
going to be
That
the
would take a
farthest one.
trip.
Yeah. See, that's a little bit of a distance. And for reference here, I did get the Kimball's assault pretty zoomed in to kind of show you there.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Oh,
all
okay.
over the place when it comes to Fredericksburg, and that was drawn by John Kaiser of the
That's really
23rd New
cool.
Jersey. Yeah,
I've seen this so many times, and I actually have never stopped to think about who painted this or the story and the provenance behind it. But like knowing now that Kaiser was the painter,
yeah,
that's fascinating. So this is done by somebody that participated in the assault.
yeah. And the original and all of his drawings that he'll do during the war exist in the Cumberland County Library, Lummis Research, yeah, Lummis Research Library in Greenwich, which is again about 25 minutes from me. And a couple years ago, I walked in, asked to see them, and the lady came out with a box, put them in front of me and some gloves, and said, "Here you go." And
Oh
I
no,
was
kidding.
able to see this guy's like seeing the pastel strokes on some of the drawings that he did, or the sketch lines on soldiers' trousers and jackets and stuff. It was amazing, and I have them on my phone somewhere. But yeah, they're incredible. And then yeah, this one, the Kimball's Brigade one, is the most famous. I think there's even like the study for it, like how he breaks it down, or even like the couple of stages before he draws the big one. So
Hmm.
yeah,
And Andrea Quinn on Facebook, good evening to you as well. She says, good evening from Rockport, Massachusetts. Nice discussion. New Jersey has a great history and many served honorably.
yeah,
I'd say so.
yeah. About
And
forty
you and I were
thousand of
talking.
them did.
There's a monument at Salem Church that I think you and I were talking about that the other day that actually pays homage to the Georgians, if I'm not mistaken. Or it's either Georgians or Alabamans, one of the two.
It's
Slips my
whoever they
mind.
go up against. It's to the 23rd New Jersey. They're known as the
Hmm.
Yahoos, another 9-month regiment, 6 corps guys. Um, it's funny, all the 9-month regiments that join up in the late summer of '62, they all get out of the army like June 29th of '63. I mean, these guys are getting off trains while they're hearing about like, oh, the Union Army's in Pennsylvania, or like what something's about to happen in PA,
And
and
they're
then
just dodging it from there.
yeah, dodging a big one. So I mean, Fredericksburg. What are you gonna do? You want to go to Fredericksburg? You want to go to Gettysburg? Pick one.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Where's your lesser of two evils there? Because Fredericksburg. So I mean, you get we can go into learn about Fredericksburg, Gettysburg all day.
yeah,
Finn Point is a must visit.
yes. Finn's
Visit.
Point it's the opposite end of Fort Delaware,
Mm-hmm.
which Finn's Point is where all of the Confederate dead from Fort Delaware will be buried. So in New Jersey, in
Interesting.
Salem County, New Jersey, there's 2,400 Confederate dead, like buried in a national cemetery. So I think that's
That's
pretty
pretty
cool.
interesting. Fort
Yeah,
Delaware is really unique, also.
yeah,
All right, true. So I got your picture as well. I'm going to put that in the thing. Josh, you sent me an image, and I would like to segue into that. We're going to put that up, and I want you to tell me a little bit about it and where you're at,
Ah,
because you're a really unique location there, actually, and the little town of
yeah,
Fredericksburg right behind you.
yeah. I was doing a video for a blog that we used to have, and I had it. And I was like, "Why don't we do Fredericksburg?" And it was about 6, 7 years ago, I guess. So I was like, "Yeah, this is perfect for this conversation." I'm
Yeah,
right
it
there
is.
behind Chatham, um, right there on Marie's Heights, or not behind Chatham, on Marie's Heights in the background. Pretty
Shooters in the
cool.
background. Yeah, that's awesome,
I
man.
believe the water landing's right behind my head. I can't really tell though.
To the right, a little further, I
Yeah,
think.
it's down to the right there.
Yeah, yeah, just to the right. I'm trying to see much. Yep,
That's very Christmassy.
it is, and that's pretty much what it would look like this time of year too. But that's something that's really unique. I don't know how many folks have actually been to Fredericksburg, but the, up until like 2010, there was an obstructed view of that, and the Park Service was able to come down and pretty much level all the trees that were blocking it. So to some folks, this is actually somewhat of a new view. It hasn't been this way for a long time. You can really see into Fredericksburg and kind of understand why Sumner made that his headquarters. And there are two giant guns there, but even with those guns being there, those were not actually placed on the grounds of what we would consider Chatham today. They didn't want to draw a lot of fire, so you don't have the bombardment really initiating from Chatham. It's mostly adjacent properties on the side. But you again, you can see kind of why you would want to put that there if you did. Even in that view that Josh had there, you just sort of have a commanding view of the town, and that's similar along what they would call Stafford Heights, and that's where the bulk of the Union would have their artillery was Stafford Heights, on the other side of the river. The few that were able to get across, made their way as far as Federal Hill, which is somewhat in the middle of the fairgrounds, but most of the artillery again having a vantage point similar to that, where you just have this overarching shot into the town.
I think you touched on the topic of that a lot of people are discussing in certain battlefields right now with a certain beaver. You you said that the Park Service didn't remove those trees, and there's a reason why. Because a lot of times the MPS has to go through regulations, and when they do the regulations, they have to figure out whether or not this is pertinent to cultural or natural resources. In that case, that is very important to cultural resources. So that department of the MPS site there won that argument and was able to remove those trees. But they also have to preserve natural resources. So it's kind of interesting to see how different departments work together and kind of fight over different things, because it's like, do you remove these trees and cause a detriment to the natural resource versus being a detriment to the cultural resource? So in that case right there, the cultural resources won out and they were able to remove the trees. Pretty interesting topic.
Yeah, no, that's always interesting to know how it's yeah, like you said, the two departments have to go back and forth. Huh. Never put that together for myself, but no, very cool.
Yeah, a lot of Civil War historians love to argue over these things, but the organic act of the National Park Service says to preserve unimpaired for the enjoyment of generations.
Mm.
And so it doesn't really give you much guidance on who wins over what. So when they argue over it, they have to be like, is this detrimental to the natural resource or is this detrimental to cultural resource? So in that case, that was a win for battlefield preservation.
Very interesting.
I think Tyler's muted. Can't have a show without a host.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh no!
Cue the Jeopardy music, right? We were having this problem playing War of Rights the other day. His microphone just cut out completely.
Nope, can't hear you.
How about now?
There we go.
A little bit.
Sorry about the microphone foul up. Beautiful thing is we can fix that for the podcast later, but nothing we can do in the moment, so we just keep rolling with it. Josh, you were talking about all that coming down. I guess what I was trying to say before I figured out my mic was actually muted was that I think with that being cleared and all of that, like just different foliage and treescape there, when that all left, that made such a different impact on tourists that are able to now come and visit that battlefield and take much more from it than they were previously. So I can see why that argument would hold up with the cultural, significance and how much a visitor is now going to be able to understand why this was selected as a headquarters or why this part of Stafford was used as an artillery platform or the staging area, if you will. It gives you that raw imagery.
It's just an example of, like, let's say Bolivar Heights at Harper's Ferry. Some people want to completely clear that entire hill. It'll never happen. They want to clear that entire hill, but it's so detrimental to natural resource that it'll just never happen.
It's ridiculous.
Trusso has sent me 3 images. Do you want me to start with the first and just do it in order as you sent them?
Go with Evan first. I'm still looking something up.
Okay. Well, Evan, we'll come to you next. And again, whatever Fredericksburg topic you want, that's what we'll talk about here. But we are on the 162nd. Have you done any readings, or are there anything in Fredericksburg that really sticks out to you that's worth kind of sharing and diving into a bit, or maybe even bringing up for a debate?
Yeah, so I have not had the chance to do any timely anniversary reading this year. unfortunately. But I was gonna broach the subject of Fredericksburg's portrayal in the movie Gods and Generals and see what you guys see.
I think this is a great conversation.
Yeah, because that was, I mean, that
think-
was one of my first exposures to the Battle of Fredericksburg. And of course,
Right.
The 20th Maine and their story charge on Marie's Heights, which isn't, totally accurate to how it
No.
went down, right? But I do think, for as much as that movie is controversial and does things wrong, I think the Fredericksburg scenes are compelling. So
I agree.
yeah, what do you guys think?
No, I think you make a very valid point. The movie, obviously, we know Fredericksburg wasn't even shot in Fredericksburg. That was shot in the environs of Harper's Ferry.
In the environment, in Harper's Ferry.
In Harper,
In the environment.
that's right.
Right in the middle of
fighting
town.
was in downtown Harper's Ferry. So if you're a Civil War buff and have been to Harper's Ferry and start seeing the dry goods store and just some signs that may look familiar, I'm like, I feel like I have been there before.
You also know, if you watch that scene, the Cart O'Hurley's General Store is a store in Shepherdstown.
Really?
No
Yeah.
way.
Yeah,
Okay,
if it
see?
says O'Hurley, if you see it, it's in the street scene. It says O'Hurley's, and it's a general store in Shepherdstown.
That's awesome. But I agree with you on that. Like living in Fredericksburg and kind of being surrounded by the battlefield my entire life, seeing that on Gods and Generals, even though it wasn't the greatest depiction in the world, was very compelling. I think that's a very good word for it and a very powerful display of. And it gives you the feeling of kind of what Fredericksburg signified to in the bulk of the scenes. There is some stuff that goes way way out there, especially the Jane Howison Beale things. The little too far out there for my liking. But when it comes to the battle scenes and a lot of the engagements, I think they do it justice in that. So in that regard, it's okay. Certainly not the best, but I agree with what you're saying that there is a powerful draw to it. It's something I would recommend someone that may not be as into the Civil War as we are. That's like, what was Fredericksburg? If I want to give them a great visual representation, I will show some of the street fighting and some of the charges up Marie's Heights that were in the movie Gods and Generals, maybe just clips of the fighting there. Maybe not the whole thing, because the extended cut's ridiculously long to try to sit through.
Yeah, it's got the movie's got some little nuggets about the fighting. Like you said, like the house to house in town scenes. Then like think about like when they show, even for like the 2 seconds, the guys having to break ranks and run across the boards through the little gully and then trying to reform, and then you've got the guys, just the guys dropping left and right as they're trying to make their way up the hill. Guys, when they finally get pinned down, the rolling bodies of people over them. Just the little pieces that, even though like Ron Maxwell, and all those guys made, this like sort of crappy movie.
Yeah,
it's got pieces to it, and
it does.
You stick to those. Yeah, you want to show somebody Battle of Fredericksburg? Yeah, do the 2-minute cutscene of that stuff, and you get it. But yeah, otherwise it's Stonewall Jackson worship.
Yeah, it's Gods and Jackson. Yeah, he knows. That movie is what it is. Yeah, it is Gods and Jackson. That's very common to hear.
Throw this if there's anybody still watching here out in La La Land, chime in with your comments about the movie.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, if it's anyone watching, and especially if you're listening later on Spotify too, let us know what you think about Gods and Generals and how that, maybe if it's a movie that's impacted you or it's kind of just one of those things.
It's Gods and Jackson.
I think the better option is the 22-minute Darth Vader narrated National Park Service film. I mean,
I agree.
Whoa! Yeah. Nothing. That's like the top 2 or 3 Civil War movies of all time is the old school Antietam video. So.
Yeah,
anything with James Earl Jones.
Shoot that deer hunt every chance you get. Every day working there, 10 years.
I know your pain.
Yeah. And then that up movie, in Antietam, you hear that deep voice, September 5th, 1862. Yes.
Of all the southern towns, made famous by war.
Yeah, of all the southern towns. Fredericksburg, Virginia. And
there's if you ever watch the DVD, there's an 1.5 hour long extended version of that. Same with the Antietam one. Yeah, historical films have gone into details. There is a DVD floating around somewhere. I'd love to see and get my hands on it again because it was awesome to watch.
And
I would
I
bet.
think.
I
Oh,
would
go
bet
ahead.
that Will Eisler through the history fix. I think it'll surface up through
I
there
think
in
it
a
is
couple of
on
years.
there. I
Yeah.
just got History Fixer today. Actually, it's fantastic.
Gods and
Fantastic.
generals. Be truthful. Do you like the movie or not? I do. And anybody who comes at me can be a hater, and I don't care.
I I
La
don't
la la.
hate the movie. I like I said, I know there are issues, but that's with any historical film that comes on TV, or comes out. We're not going to get an exact. Now, I will say it probably was better than Napoleon. It probably landed, dare I say that. I think maybe it was, or it's on par. I don't know. But that's Hollywood does that. We know it's not going to
Yeah.
be going into it. So if we can go into it knowing that, all right, this isn't really going to be the most accurate, and we're just watching it for fun, or just like you said, to really have that compelling moment with Fredericksburg, I think it's perfectly okay. So I think Civil War video games are okay.
Yeah.
It's like,
Especially the History Channel's
yeah,
war game. Yeah.
absolutely. It's horrible with the, you have a freaking Gatling gun on a little
Gatling gun
round
at
top.
Gettysburg.
Yeah, you're just mowing down Confederates for Josh Chamberlain, and
How
then
else did they do it?
that's it. Just crank them with that.
That's why everybody goes there. First use of the Gatling gun, right? They're not going there because of the movie.
No, and then you start out on Devil's Den with a scoped sharps rifle
Yeah.
too. Like, you have a huge scope that's just like what?
Or the what was it, the Fredericksburg? You could carry a friggin' Henry rifle through the streets or up.
You get a Gatling gun in that one too in the camp.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you do. If you guys want to entertain, go watch the Fredericksburg battle in the History Channel Civil War, and they use the Glory soundtrack for the game too. They just straight rip the Glory soundtrack.
If you do want a good video too to watch, Gods and Generals had a computer game when it came out.
Did it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
It is very interesting the amount of money that didn't go into that.
It's definitely not a Scourge of War or anything like that.
Ted
The
Turner's trying to
best
get every dollar back.
Civil War game ever.
Yeah, really.
The best Civil War game ever was the one where you got 2 cannons, 3 infantry units, and 2 heavy riflemen, and Burnside goes, "For our forefathers," and beats the hell out of everyone.
The original History Channel Civil War game.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the best one.
Mm.
Did you guys ever
Yeah,
play Sid Meier's?
Yes.
Briefly.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah. That was the best one. That's how I learned the order of battle about Antietam.
Really, Sid Meier's? War of Rights is what him and I currently have been messing around with, and that some days it's great and there are like double rank battle lines, and then other days it's pure chaos.
It's like a mainstream reenactment.
Yeah, yeah, very much so. It's crazy, man. There's some good groups though that I've been looking into to try to get some double ranks. I wish there was some Fredericksburg stuff for it.
Yeah, you got to have the chaoticness in there too.
Once in a while, like on a Friday night, it's fun.
Yeah, just a crazy random ninja running around.
All right, True. So I have another one for you. You have some pictures here.
Which one do you want to pull up first?
We'll go in sequence.
What I go to? All right, Charlie Fuller. So, ever since I started maybe working for this potential agency that we call the National Park Service, well, 10 years ago, people made fun of me for my love affair with Francis Barlow. Put the picture up.
10 years ago?
10 years ago.
Francis Barlow.
Not like they do now?
Francis Barlow. That was me up at Midnight for their Battle Road event.
It's the only Barlow picture I have on here, but I was like, that comes in handy.
But Charlie Fuller was a sergeant in the 61st New York. So at Fredericksburg, right, 61st is under under Barlow. Barlow's back. So they got Barlow, Nelson Miles, Ian Caldwell's brigade, Hancock's division, right up that chain. So not the first wave, but are they? I forget. Did Hancock? Did Caldwell go before the Irish, or did the Irish go first?
I believe the Irish go first and Caldwell follows after. I could be wrong, but that, to my knowledge, I think the Irish are in first. Nope. I think Caldwell's. Where's Zook?
Kimball's first.
Kimball's. Yep. Zook, whoever Zook's with.
Zook is in Hancock, but can you pull Dan's photo back up? Because Charlie Fuller talks about a building in that image, the drawing. Yeah. Take a look at that house that's like being littered by artillery fire, right? That is the Stratton.
That is the Stratton House, correct.
So Charlie Fuller, who gets wounded at Gettysburg as a lieutenant, sits out the remainder of the war. He talks about the 61st engagement. I'll read real quick. Um, Now the order for us came for us to advance, which we did. I cannot say how many regiments were in our line. I know we advanced till within musket range of the rebel rifle pits. We were halted and ordered to lie down. We advanced parallel. Now, at one point, Barlow orders them to attempt to flank the Confederate line. So he says, we advanced parallel to the rebel line and under fire. We soon came to the road. Here there was a house or two, and the building had some soldiers in it. And that's the Stratton House right there. We crossed the road, the 61st, under Miles did, and brought up in the yard or garden patch that had a high, tight board fence on two sides of it. Here we were directed to lie down. The fence hid the enemy from our sight, but the distance to the nearest line of rifle pits was short. And he goes on and on and on and on. But there's people that claim that 5th New Hampshire got the closest. I'm always in favor of the 61st New York. 61st, they get overlooked. Even as a son of Northern New Jersey, the 61st should get a lot more love than
yeah, New Jersey came nowhere close, so we're not even gonna try.
What other regiment can have? I mean, you got two greats that led it. Well, one great and somebody who people love to hate. Right, Miles, who actually did something good with his life, and Barlow. Right, so, but pull up the other image. You got the other one.
Yes.
So I bought this a couple of years ago, mostly because Bronner Farm stuff. But here's a quick quote that he talked about with Fredericksburg. So Captain Young in the 7th Wisconsin. Fredericksburg can boast of two things beautiful. Now, before I say what he says they are, what is beautiful about Fredericksburg? What caught your eye, all of y'all's eye, about Fredericksburg?
Say the churches, the skyline. It's very,
Yeah.
it's very iconic. That's what I would say.
Sure.
Okay, Young says, flowers of every description and pretty women. There are certainly some of the finest looking women here I've ever seen. They sit on the stoops and verandas every pleasant evening. That is the regular Southern fashion. When we first came here, they would not walk on the pavement because the stars and stripes waved over it from an upper window. They are getting over that now. They find we are not so bad as what we were represented. In fact, many of them will talk with soldiers now and cry over their friends in the Confederate Army. So Fredericksburg women love the North. There you go. It's been a while since I've been to Fredericksburg, so I can't attest to the pretty women thing, but maybe they're still there.
Maybe. Got another one for you too. This one is intriguing. I like his facial hair.
I thought I grabbed McDowell, but I got Rufus.
That's the Andrew Luck base photo.
That's what I was thinking. It looks like Andrew.
Looks like they superimposed Andrew Luck over his head.
I just threw him in there because even before the battle, right, you got the black hats that seek refuge. And Melissa Wynn did a great article when the Civil War Times was still a thing about McDowell's people in Fredericksburg.
That's right, because that was a military depot that he used.
Yeah, he calls it Lincoln's Construction Corps. Or McDowell's Construction Corps is what he refers to it as.
True.
Anyway, don't go to Bronner Farm. Rufus King has 2 seizures.
Who's this guy?
Don't worry. You won't be able to get in there because of the data center. Oh,
that's Rufus King.
This is Rufus King?
Yeah, King's Western Brigade. Yeah.
Very good.
Look at the head of hair.
I mean, yeah, it's great. Well, gents, do you guys have anything else before we wrap it here tonight?
You haven't said anything.
I could say a lot, but with Fredericksburg, I wanted to talk to you guys. I live here. This is my backyard. This is my home. I know a lot about Fredericksburg.
Well, there's an elephant in the room, Tyler. Can you pull up the General-in-Chief's photo and the Commander of the Army's photo?
You want this one?
Yes. Let's talk about him real quick.
You want to get me all started on Halleck?
Yes.
The person that I personally think is responsible for Fredericksburg's defeat would be this man right here. Yeah. There's a lot going into that, but I can really go back to the pontoons. And when Burnside is getting ready to start his descent to Fredericksburg, he's actually inheriting a plan that came from McClellan. This is not Burnside's grand plan that he just devised on his own. He's really inheriting something that's sort of been already put onto paper and prepared for, well, in the stages of preparation. However, this plan was using the Orange and Alexandria Railroad, which at the time was a one-track railroad, meaning that it was not really well serviceable for the needs the army were trying to use it for to get it to Fredericksburg. They're not going to have a good place to supply it. You can't just use one line to take all of this equipment, all of your horses, all of your arts, you name it. It's not going to happen. The closest possible way to do that would be by going to the RF&P Railroad. The RF&P Railroad is going to take people, what we call the RF&P, will give you a terminal point at a place known as Aquia Harbor. The Aquia Harbor is going to really be the place that Burnside needs to move his troops, and the chief of the railroad engineers, his name is Herman Haupt, will agree with Burnside and be like, you know what, this is where we need to go. The problem is Halleck doesn't agree with these two, and Burnside will bring Haupt to Washington to meet with the two and describe the importance of using this railroad, and Lincoln ends up favoring the plan brought to him by Burnside and Haupt versus Halleck's plan. And this is where we see Halleck very hands-on with campaigns, and sometimes the campaigns don't go well when he's hands-on with them. Think back in earlier 62 where he messed some stuff up down there in the West. We can go on whole different topic on that. But Halleck really does sort of start putting his hands in the mix. And, I don't want to ever put a tinfoil hat on and go this far. But it's not impossible that the reason the pontoon delays are so long and so lengthy, there was an order put on Halleck's desk to have those pretty much put in motion immediately, and it gets delayed because the order doesn't get sent for multiple days. Hence the order's written. So is Halleck, intentionally just setting the order and putting it on his desk and then stacking other papers on intentionally just trying to sabotage Burnside? I'm not going to go that far to say that, but his delay for sure. And I think some of the jealousies that his plan didn't get picked over Burnside's plan really kind of shaped how Fredericksburg's going to play out, because you do have that delay in pontoons that don't arrive to Fredericksburg, and Burnside's not crossing without him. And he's getting so just infuriated by this that he's arresting his own engineers. Woodbury gets arrested briefly, and you have generals that don't want to do it, and they're like, "I'm so sorry to go arrest my friend here." I'm trying to remember the exact gentleman who had to arrest him, but when Woodbury's arrested, it's starting to send this like really kind of contentious wave across the Army of the Potomac, and it can really all be answered in Washington because Halleck is really kind of screwing the pooch there, and I think it's personal jealousies that cost thousands of lives too at the end of the day. So. Read it for what it might be, but Halleck really does have a hand in this. This is something that, and then, I have a gripe with Lincoln with Fredericksburg too. I think he's too aggressive here. I understand the reasoning. I really do. I understand why, you're trying to release the Emancipation Proclamation. You've got the preliminary out, but you don't have much valid weight to it. And so you need to try to have that. And so you see campaigns like Stones River and Fredericksburg happen. But where I really like Lincoln almost slights the Army because he's going to write that this battle was an accident. That's an actual claim from Lincoln. It's almost like he's apologizing to his troop. This was nothing but an accident. Everything you just fought for was just an accident. All those men that died right next to you was just an accident. And his aggressiveness pushed this. So, I look at politics, maybe not just Halleck. Maybe Halleck's the face of the political problem here. But politics cost the Army thousands of lives on December 13th, 1862. It does in many different battles. We can probably go further, but Fredericksburg's chief among them. And it boils down to personal jealousies within the same party. It's not even a bipartisan problem. It's just what's happening in that administration at the time.
So with that, can you pull up the first of the three photos I just sent?
First of the three, yes. Give me 2 seconds.
Alex, a jealous prick.
He is. To put it nicely, or because I could say worse, yes, he is absolutely.
He makes it really known with Grant. He tries to get him thrown out, tries to dismiss him, calls him a drunk, but Grant's winning.
And that's why it's like, I don't put it, I wouldn't put it past him to purposely screw up this campaign.
Yep.
Because he wanted it his way. It didn't go his way. Look how he treats Hooker in 63. Look at the relationship between those two. It's almost like coming to fisticuffs on paper. Like these guys are literally bickering back and forth, and there is I need to fix this because you were not capable of it on both parties.
Burnside's not a bad general.
So this that was going to be my question, Josh. What one, y'all's opinion on the guy in the photo, and two, is Army Command too high for him?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think Army Command is too high for him.
Yeah.
Do I think he's at fault for Fredericksburg? Yes and no.
You can say he's almost the same as Joe Hooker. He's a good corps commander, promoted to Army Command, had a bad battle, and then is just like, what is it called? Haunted by that the rest of his life. Chancellorsville.
Fredericksburg completely overshadows his accomplishments in North Carolina.
Absolutely.
You know, there's a New Jersey regiment that gets involved in Roanoke and New Bern and all that stuff, and yeah, Burnside's accomplishments in North Carolina are incredible. I mean, even the Ninth Corps, just in general, just South Mountain. What are they? They're at Knoxville, right? Here at Fredericksburg, again, all over North Carolina. Yeah, Fredericksburg is a stain, and it's a stain for everybody. I mean, it even carries so much so that the guys are going to chant it 9 months later at Gettysburg.
That's right.
Yep.
And Burnside had solid plans. I mean, he even had an extremely elaborate diversion assault that was taking place before the bridges were even being laid downriver via gunboats. And that's one of my favorite things to talk about Fredericksburg is that there are 3 literal gunboats that come all the way up the Rappahannock towards Port Royal. In fact, even a little beyond Port Royal, and will engage with Confederate river batteries who have never really seen this kind of action before. They're just what they call them. They're temporary river batteries. Their bulk of them are with Jackson and AP Hill, so they're not stationed river batteries. But obviously, when you're in Rome, you're going to protect the river that's right in front of you. The Rappahannock happens to be the one that's there, and there's 3 or 4 different series fights that take place on the Rappahannock, and that's all by design by Burnside because he's realizing that at this point pontoons are delayed. He's going to call an audible a little bit and attack in the front, but he's trying to do this diversion. So he's not stupid by any means. I've heard a lot of people call him stupid. On an almost daily basis working in Civil War fields, you hear people just make those Burnside slights. And I'm like, well, a stupid man wouldn't be doing diversions like this in this elaborate of an attack. Like, he knows this isn't going to happen. So there's more, too, that you can really say Burnside's smart. Like you said, New Bern. New Bern's phenomenal with Burnside. He has a really good campaign there. But Fredericksburg's not it for him, man.
Nope.
And again, that gut starts at the top. Not excusing him because he's not a victim here. He is chief to blame as well. He's leading the army. He's making the calls. Because there's many people underneath him, especially on that southern front, that have an issue with being asked to reinforce someone. Looking at Franklin there, that whole sector.
Wasn't even the slaughter pen and all that bunch of egos got in the way there, correct?
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Go to the next one.
That's exactly what it was. Yeah. I saw that.
William Franklin, too. William Franklin at South Mountain, sitting in a chair while he's getting orders to go through Crampton's Gap. He does that all the time.
Don't actually pull up image 3.
You want Reynolds?
I've got a question for the group here.
All hail Reynolds. Don't say anything bad.
What did he do? What did this guy do in the entire war?
He got
captured the whole war? Is that the question?
He did. Yeah. And the citizens of Fredericksburg were the reason he got released because they liked how he treated them so much that they petitioned for his release.
He had probably 35 minutes of, in my opinion, good fighting in the entire war. And
July 1.
And that was 2nd Manassas.
Oh.
At the very end, when he stops cold, because you got to think, Longstreet's whole goal is the intersection, not the hill, not anything. He wants the intersection. Reynolds grabs the flag of some Pennsylvania Reserve Regiment and carries the guy, just like Crawford does it at Little Round Top at Gettysburg. He pulls the dude along the way down the hill, him, Meade, and Truman Seymour, and stops cold. Saves John Pope's ass. But where's he at Fredericksburg? Where is a corps commander at Fredericksburg? Sighting a piece of artillery.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's he at Gettysburg? What's a corps commander doing at Gettysburg? Putting a regiment into line.
Where does that ultimately get him to?
Bingo, right? Mm-hmm. So his finest hour is at an relatively overlooked battle. That's in my opinion. He should have been doing a lot better at Fredericksburg and helping out the guy in picture number 2. I don't know. What do you all say about Reynolds? Overrated, underrated?
I'd say overrated. I mean, I don't hate the guy, but you're right. He's not. There's nothing really to write home about with Reynolds. There's really not. He's got a nice monument at Gettysburg
And Philadelphia,
and Philadelphia too. Look at that.
right at
See?
City Hall, right next to George McClellan.
I think you guys hit the nail on the head. He's overrated. Oh God,
McCollum's happy you said his name.
he's overrated. But we inkled or like had an inkling at first day at Gettysburg. He's right where he should have been. He's putting in a regiment in the line, yes, but he's out in the front, and he's trying to get these men in the line to stop the Confederate advance.
That's what George Meade's doing at Fredericksburg, and no one's listening to him.
But his
Which
brigade,
I can understand the counterpoint of like you need to leave from behind and not die.
Yeah,
But
he's a wing commander.
you know, so I can kind of see also his point of like why he's out there and how the magnitude of this situation. Like I need to get out there. I need to lead and put these guys in the line and then back up. But you know,
well, he backs
I
up all
get
the way
shot
to
by a
Lancaster.
sharpshooter.
He did.
Can we put back Meade real quick?
Oh, yes, please. Let's talk about Meade.
This book is a great book, by the way, on Fredericksburg. Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Frank O'Reilly's Winter War on the Rappahannock. It's the go-to Fredericksburg.
I'm trying to get the painting in as best as I can. Right?
The Carl Rochling painting. Yeah, I know I have that on here somewhere. Do you want me to put that up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
I just think that the southern end of the field is a cooler battlefield than the Sunken Road. I mean, granted, there's no New Jersey down there, but
the southern
Six
end
corps
is
down there.
Yes, they are.
So First New Jersey Brigade is there. Yep.
That's
They're
right.
not
I'd say
active,
there's quite a few.
but
Yeah,
they're-
there's
but
6
they're
corps
around.
there.
Who is that Torbert at that point, or is somebody else?
Now that you've put me on the spot, I don't remember. It's not Kearney. That's the most important one, but no.
It's the 114th Pennsylvania right there.
When people go, when people go to Fredericksburg, they should come down here. I mean, cool, the visitor center, right? Mission 66 dumped right out in the Sunken Road, but thanks to the ABT and the Central Virginia folks, this thing is saved forever.
And there are 5 Medal of Honors awarded to federal troops here for the fighting. And again, this is where the decision was really going to be on the battlefield. With Marie's Heights, you have such a, it's just it's not even a slugfest. It's murder.
Yeah, it's a slaughter.
It's murder. I'd have no other word for it. But when you look and you go to a place like Slaughter Pen and you actually see the Union breaking through Confederate lines. In fact, Maxie Gregg, who's also pretty famous as Second Manassas, he's killed there, really thinking that it's his own troops coming in his direction, but it's not. It's actually Union soldiers who have been bogged down into a swampy area that Meade's broken them through. And Maxie Gregg has his spine severed by a Federal bullet. Most of his men have arms stacked. He's left a 60-yard, or is it? How long's that gap? 600? It's not 600 yards, is it? No, it's like 67. There's a significant gap. We'll just go with that. Enough to where Confederates lost their hold on the ground, and Meade briefly breaks through. Problem with that is there are no reinforcements. Meade does not get reinforced, and that's where the ego comes in, because when Meade is coming back and asking colleagues of his to help him, I don't have proper orders to do that. I can't take my brigade in there, is essentially the reply that he gets.
Well, because you got Meade. You got the whole Grand Division.
Oh, thank you for Maxie Gregg's picture. Put that There we are. Maxie Gregg. All right, gentlemen, I am going to get ready to close this out here. Do we have any finishing thoughts before we depart tonight?
I've got one.
Yes, sir.
So New Jersey opens the battle or opens the attack on Maury's Heights, right?
Mhm.
24th and 27th. The 7th New Jersey will be sent into Fredericksburg as the army is retreating across. And as the pontoons are being pulled, the 7th is almost left and abandoned in Fredericksburg.
Really?
Yeah. So the very beginning of the fight and the very end of the fight for the town of Fredericksburg proper. Well, no, because it doesn't begin with the town of the fight of the town doesn't begin with New Jersey, but from Maury's Heights to the end of the battle are
Mhm.
marked by New Jersey being in the wrong place at the wrong time. So, Tyler, thank you so much for having us, man. This
No.
was cool.
Yeah, thanks for coming
Yeah.
on tonight, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
guys,
but
it was
like,
nice to meet you all again.
Nice to meet
And
you, yeah.
to see the guys I did before. So it was great to see everybody.
yeah, and you guys are always welcome
Yeah.
back. We do these unfiltered conversations. They're going to be back again where it's just a sit down talk. And folks at home, too, if you guys want to join the conversation, just feel free to comment. We'll talk with you all. But again, thanks for making another return episode. Awesome, guys. Appreciate every single one of you. And we'll see y'all on the next one.